Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing some time with us today. I'm delighted to have Pion and Elena here from Your Justice, a very, very interesting project that I think we're all going to enjoy learning more about. I actually got to know Andre, who is the prior CEO of Your Justice. And I think in the announcement that I sent out before, I said that Andre was going to be presenting to us, but turns out Andre has transitioned to a board role, and now Pion is the acting CEO. So we're delighted to have her here to walk us through Your Justice, the vision of the project. And Lena is in charge of international partnerships, and she is currently at a blockchain conference in London, but Pion is joining us from Moscow. So thank you so much, Pion and Lena, for being with us. And I think everyone's very eager to hear more about your project and your vision. So why don't I turn it over to you, Pion?
Thank you. Actually, Lena, maybe you should start from some general words.
Great.
Yes, thank you. Great to meet everyone. I'll make an excuse in the beginning because I'm in a bad Wi-Fi spot, so my connection is really poor. And yeah, so we're happy to present Your Justice. We're building justice as common good on Web3, and we identified the problem of just let me switch. So the problem is access to justice for all people in the world, especially in mixed reality. And we identified the market pains such as long and expensive courts, slow petitions, endorsement, and fake reviews and different reputation platforms. And there's an unmet market need, which is social injury. That means family violence, abuse, bullying. So people usually don't go to court if they experience this social injury. And if we take countries with low income, such as in Africa or in India, people can't simply afford courts, and in corrupted countries, we don't really have access to justice and fairness. So we're treating this problem, and we're following the SDG goal number 16, giving equal access to justice for all people in the world. So in Web3, as you know, there's very low and investments are risky. It's hard for founders to attract money because have somebody believing in you personally and your project. Then there is slow community scaling in DAOs because people are very picky and they are afraid of scam. So reputation and justice are the two pillars that we're building our product along. And well, our solution is decentralized social justice and a reputation layer for the whole ecosystem and for the real and virtual world. As you say, reputation is new digital currency. In the previous era, we used to go to reputation platforms and leave our reviews on Trustpilot and on Google Maps, but now we're shifting to Web3, providing social, uncorruptible, decentralized reputation for everyone, for people, projects, and even addresses. I'll ask Pion to comment on this slide about the product, please.
Yeah, right now we built an MVP for accessible for everyone at ICODR.life. And right now you can go there and create your profile, which will be connected to your wallet, if you're familiar with that. And you can join the jurisdiction or create your own jurisdiction. And jurisdiction is our word for community or like some society of people who share some set of values, and of the set of values, they create their set of laws, and aligned to that laws, they will judge their participants or members of that jurisdiction. So the step number 3, each member of the jurisdiction can file case, positive or negative, like the Unix way. It has name of case, endorse or litigate another member of the jurisdiction to plus or minus their reputation. So the reputation will change after the decision of the judge of that jurisdiction. That simple system, jurisdiction has judges and citizens and a set of laws by which you can plus or minus reputation. By this system, reviews can be verifiable, not only like arbitrary, like I think you did something and you should have this amount of reputation, but according to some reasons, some laws, and verified by the judge. So we think that that can increase the trust in that communities, which we call jurisdictions. Yeah, I think, should we answer these questions right now or after?
Let me be clear. We're just noting things down in the chat. And then when we get to the end of your presentation, we'll go back and then we'll talk about the questions. So you can ignore the chat for now, Pion. Do your thing, and then we'll come back to it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think we will go back to the demo, and I will show the MVP in YJ.life, and we will go through the maybe even file a case, or maybe one of you will create a profile and we will answer all the questions. Okay, so for now.
Okay, so I can quickly go through other slides to give a bigger picture, and then we'll go to the MVP. Right. Okay, so this is the algorithm, and Pion will explain it on real cases later on. So we're creating an infrastructure layer for safer ecosystem, and YourJustice can be used for endorsements. And we say we're improving or creating the endorsement culture instead of cancel culture, so that a lot more people could express their gratitude and praise other people instead of bullying them. So it's endorsements and dispute resolution platform. We help people to create portable social capital, which they can use as a widget on different platforms: Tinder, OpenSea, NFT marketplaces, gaming platforms, job search, freelance platforms, everywhere. So the reputation travels with you. You don't lose it on one platform, for example, Trustpilot or Google Maps. You take your reputation widget with you wherever you travel online, and it is an analytical tool. So before investing in projects or sending money to other addresses, you can check the reputation of the receiver, and you can even see this warning message saying that this is a risky transaction. So we'll have some traction. We'll show you on the MVP. This is the market size tentatively estimated. Our business model is token sale, but we won't release a token before we build a product. So the platform has a hybrid business model. We're going to earn on commission on calls. Some calls will be free of charge. Some will be will imply stake, and the commission on stake charged by YourJustice. There will be fees for onboarding large communities if they need help. Companies could subscribe to our service to find the best candidates for their teams, for example. So recruiters could use us to find people by their values and by their actions and ratings in different jurisdictions. Lawyers are interested in us to sell their services and sets of laws and ready-made systems. Then we're going to attach a marketplace of emotions that will replicate the existing patterns of endorsing people and claiming, for example, if I'm going to file a case against an abuser, I can send a letter, a notification as an NFT saying that I'm inviting this person to court. Or if I want to praise you, Colin, for this wonderful opportunity to talk today, I could send you digital flowers. So I try to add some emotions to this experience. And crowdfunding will help projects to raise money based on the reputation of founders or collectives that are raising money. This is our competitor scheme. So blockchain explorers do the analytical part. There are online courts provided by Kleros and formerly Aragon, who died, almost died. There are reputation analytics, and we have entered partnerships already with Reputation DAO, who are not our direct competitor, but they are rather complementing our product. And Deep DAO is our potential partner. They're interested in integrating our widget into their leaderboards to help DAOs create their brand names, for example, and to help them improve retention and participation in different initiatives. So Your Justice exists for the real world. Anyone can experiment with their own laws. It is also a sandbox for legal hackers, for lawyers, for politicians, and social scientists. And as a core feature, core product, it helps to resolve disputes and to carry out online litigations. It also helps to earn money for the judges. So this is the roadmap. Maybe I won't stop on that and go to market. So we're currently onboarding communities, social DAOs and investment DAOs. MVP is also ready to be tested by crypto families, by all of you. You can play it. You can play on the platform with your kids. That's what I'm going to do. It's available for HRs at the moment. So as soon as we deploy it on mainnet, we'll have more traction and more validation of our ideas. This is our core team. Timur is the visionary of the project and initial investor. Pion, acting CEO, myself. Roy lives in Seattle. He's our CTO, and our art director is a French artist living in Barcelona. We also have about 10 people who, not all of them work full-time, but they help us with ontology, product development, investor relations, and community management. We're currently at seed round, and we attracted investment from Patrick Friedman, who is a big influencer in network state and charter cities. Oscar Hartmann, he lives in Germany, and a crypto media community who are an investment DAO, and they're interested in using our product for themselves. So this is tokenomics. I won't stop on that. And yeah, this is pretty much it. Do you have any questions to this part, or shall we move to the MVP?
Well, we have lots of questions, but maybe I think it'd be better to do, unless anyone has any clarifying questions, well, let's move on to the MVP, and then we can answer, we can discuss all the questions at once, if that makes sense. Okay, great. So let's move to the MVP, and then we'll see that demo.
Okay, so Pion, over to you.
Yeah. So what we see is the list of jurisdictions which already exist in our platform. you can see that you can choose from not much, but if you can briefly see which values are your own, you can choose from there. In future, in our roadmap, we plan to do some sort of value test and match people with jurisdictions based on values to help people find their own circle, to help them feel more comfortable inside, and to increase the connectivity inside.
Mhm.
Because as of my personal interest in this project, I think that it's time to repair relationships between people and stop divide people
Mhm.
and start to connect them. And right now we don't have the value test, but I think that's a crucial part of the platform. Just you open the platform, and first thing after registration is 20 questions maybe, and you see that's top 5 matching jurisdictions. Maybe you will find friends there, and you will find people who are not only maybe matching interests, but matching values, and you will be comfortable living by maybe similar laws with them. And that's important for me personally. That's the jurisdiction I created. That's transhumanists, because I want to live forever. I don't know, maybe some of you want to live forever. And we can see there, I am the judge in this jurisdiction. And that's how profile looks. I have the reputation. And there all my cases are listed, which maybe I involved in which somehow, as a case creator, as affected person, or acted person. Maybe as mediators, or I think maybe between us are some lawyers, we should see how laws are structured, because that's our one of our crucial innovations. I will show it, because everything else, like how profile is, it's maybe nothing new. So we have this practically new law structure. We have 2 layers of this. We have general and inter-platform action list, because actions are something about objective reality, and we want to mirror all the actions people do in this layer. And after that, we have specific to every jurisdiction rule layer, because in every jurisdiction, the rules by which they want to react to particular action can differ. And I spoke to saying, oh, what are you doing with load structuring? That's what why. But that's how we are doing our reputation. That's reputation engine. And that's how we are doing subjective reputation. When you see reputation in our platform, you see it through the eyes of your community. If, for example, I am a transhumanist and I see someone's reputation from the perspective of transhumanists, I see it, their score, as if I judge them by transhumanist rules. And if you think about it, that represent how we judge people in real life. We have some reference group, and if we meet someone new, we actually ask around and think of them based on how our friends or our reference group told us about that new person. And that's what we tried to do in that reputation system, that reputation engine. And for that, we did that action and rule structure and all that core structure, that interconnected parts on our platform, so we can mirror that real world reputation structure. And that was the main goal of our MVP. So we can do what we do in our real world, because first step is do what we do in real world, and second step is improve it. Yeah. Now I'm looking in chat.
No, okay, let me do that. I will do the chat. Let's surface some of these questions. First of all, let me say, I find this fascinating, utterly fascinating, and a very, very creative approach to thinking about some of the topics that we in the dispute resolution field have been thinking about for 20 years. But this is very creative, and I also like this, the Web3 orientation of this. You know, I think you might know, Pion, I was the head of dispute resolution at eBay for several years. And I felt like we had to build a system like this inside eBay to establish essentially the rules that governed the marketplace, to have reputation so that you could decide who was a good guy and who was a bad guy, but also to have resolution for problems that arise. So I love what you're doing here. I feel like you're building that system, not just for eBay, but for all websites across the internet. And I think that's very, very exciting. One thing that I also want to surface about ICODR, our organization, is we're focused on trying to ensure that online dispute resolution programs abide by certain standards, ethical standards. And I could see creating a jurisdiction within your platform, within your MVP, and we would articulate the rules along the lines of our ethical standards. And then we could track the reputation reports, peer reports from other people within our community about individuals in terms of how they perform against those rules. And if an ODR platform was found or accused of violating one of those ethical standards, then somebody could file a case, just like you have it described in this platform. So on that prior page, when you showed all of the, you know, the Vikings and the transhumanists and the ETH community and all of that, I would be interested to think about maybe how we could use this in our community as well to achieve a similar thing. So I think this is very creative. So let me just open it up to all of our attendees. Does anyone else have thoughts or reactions seeing the MVP that Pion just shared? because I can go into the questions we have in the chat. All right, think about it a little bit more, and let's go into some of the questions here in the chat. Now, the first thing that we talked about was the relationship between reputation and resolution. So if I see every individual within your system has a reputation score, and other people can vote them up or vote them down. Can we go back to that and look at the voting up and voting down? If I was to decide, Pion, that I wanted to vote you down, do I have to explain why I'm voting you down?
You certainly need to explain why.
Okay.
And moreover, you need to explain why in that specific jurisdiction according to one of the specific rules, and the judge attach evidence that I broke some rule, and the judge will confirm, or you will go without the result, because
interesting.
Judge will be on my side.
So the only reason
is
you can vote someone down,
like
the only reason you can
review.
vote them down is if they violate a rule. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. I cannot vote like arbitrary, like I want to downvote, and I need to choose the jurisdiction. I need to turn, I'm not a part of the jurisdiction, but I wouldn't be able to close the case. I will show the process. I need to choose the specific law action that he presumably did, and describe what happened. Like scam activity, like maybe he did scam. I don't know. Did scam.
Yep.
Yeah, and like this.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm filing all that case. I'm filing the case. I'm not only downvote someone. I'm filing all that case, and I need to add evidence, and that evidence will be stored on IPFS forever. So I cannot just put the picture of my cat. but I can, but the judge maybe will not, like.
Once the evidence is uploaded, it can't be unuploaded. It's in the system.
Yeah. So evidence, a witness, minimum number is one witness, and I will press create case, but right now I cannot.
Got it.
I need to join first.
Interesting. Very interesting. So when you say, it's interesting, you talk about laws. So sort of laws, and I guess they're sort of the same as rules. Like we could create a jurisdiction on your justice, and then we could create whatever laws we think are appropriate for that jurisdiction. And then if a dispute is filed, or a negative feedback is filed, you have to go in and say, within this jurisdiction, this is the law, this is the rule that has been broken, and that's why I'm saying they deserve a downvote.
Yeah, and in your jurisdiction, that person will have that reputation, positive or negative.
Interesting. Now you talk about souls. Can you tell me a little bit about what you mean by souls? Are those individuals within? Now, can I create multiple accounts, and have different identities in different communities, or is it I only get one account and it tracks me across all my communities?
Obviously, you can create multiple accounts right now because you can have multiple wallets, and right now you are creating accounts connected to wallets.
I see.
We are naming it souls because maybe you're familiar, maybe not, with Vitalik Buterin article
Yep.
about soulbound tokens.
Okay.
And what we are doing here is actually this, because reputation is something you're like, want to attach to your soul, because it creates value to the user, because we are hoping for that effect, that people with high reputation in like personal field or professional field, they will be able to receive more like romantic partners or jobs or
right.
whatever, because of their reputation.
I see. You don't want it to only be transactional and commercial. You want it to also be personal and relationship based. I think it's interesting that you said families could use this. Yeah.
Of course. Because people can be like very cute in their professional areas and very bad in their professional field. You see, we have multiple scales: community, environment, how you treat environment, personal and professional field, and positive and negative scales separate. And total reputation is summing up all this.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't want to join the party pooper group. It looks like you'll get a lot of downvotes.
You can not join.
That's fascinating. The other thing is, and again, I'm saying this for the benefit of our attendees. I'll come to you in a minute, Leah, and I see Rick just asked a good question as well. I just want to be clear, when we talk about Web 3, you know, Web 1 was sort of the early days of the internet. eBay was part of Web 1, you know, transactions, things like that. Web 2 was more user generated, like Facebook or LinkedIn or Yelp. Web 3, and correct me, Pion, if I'm wrong, and Lena, feel free, but Web 3 is the next generation of the web. And it's a notion of sort of decentralized services that all can connect together. And so you don't have to necessarily be part of Facebook to get a benefit of being on the internet. You can be on the wider internet. And when Pion talked about a wallet, that's a specific address that's associated with your identity, essentially your ability to store certain currencies. Yeah, and that's the address of the wallet there.
Yeah,
so you're leveraging Pion, the underlying architecture of the blockchain of Ethereum, of, you know, these systems to essentially identify this is an individual person, this is their wallet, and then they can get an identity within your justice and then track their reputation. Did I characterize that accurately, or is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, that's right. And actually, that's a big problem too, because people can have like 1 million wallets, and they can do a civil attack on any system. That's a type of attack when, you know, person or hacker or a group of persons, they like want to analogous to it is like DDoS attack. So people create multiple multiple identities, multiple wallets, and attack from all them. And we have no protection from it, because right now the problem is unsolved. Theoretically, it is solved, but the technical details and technical solution is not realized by now. So we are struggling with it, like many other projects, and we are doing something to like do something in that direction, like bound your wallet and incentivize people to have positive reputation rather than negative, and so on. But maybe in general, if we have millions of users and they have all the incentives to do negative things, we are not protected, and it's a bit scary. So.
Absolutely. Leah, let's go to you. What question did you want to ask?
So first, thanks for presenting, both of you. And I echo Colin's compliments. I see your tremendous ingenuity and creativity to try to tackle some of the dilemmas that we still have out there regarding, especially compliment you in focusing on how we can try to inject the positive and give reinforcement for good behavior, so to speak. I also, from my perspective, see creativity in that you're allowing different jurisdictions to frame what they value. So my questions are related to cross-jurisdiction and inside jurisdiction. So I just have a couple questions here, or I have many, but let me narrow just a couple. One is, how are the judges selected? Can appeal happen? Do they rotate off? And related to that is I'm thinking about the fact that even in an environment in which we share values and rules are written up, and whether we're in, for example, in a nation state where there's a set of rules and we have judges who spend years going to school and getting practice, they can still interpret the law in a way that leads to ongoing marginalization. And so I'm wondering how that gets addressed inside of a jurisdiction. So those are kind of internally to one jurisdiction a question. The other thing is I'm thinking, a group of people may have a perspective that says dog eat dog. Like make money any way you can, as long as you're not violating a law in your own legal jurisdiction. And so you could end up in theory with a jurisdiction that values scamming as long as you're not breaking a law. Let's just pretend, right? And so someone who does it well could get lots of flowers, to use your example, and someone else in a very different jurisdiction with a different set of values can get lots of flowers. And yet they both appear on LinkedIn to me as having lots of flowers. So those are some of my questions. I'm sure you've thought a lot about that. And again, I compliment you on your creativity, but what thoughts do you have about what I've asked?
Thank you. It's very good questions. I really thought about them for a very long time with my my ontology team. For that, yeah, we did that conceptual design part before we started coding. I know that many of the projects are not doing this, and we did this because I was frightened to do coding before, partially because of that's the type of questions, like what we will do with like judges who will do something bad, and how we will validate the work of judges, and how we will interact between jurisdiction, how we will display the overall score, and will it be interoperable between jurisdictions? I will answer. Okay, first. About judges, the scheme I have now is something like this. Judges are selected by rules jurisdiction have. And I think the main rule is like no rules of the jurisdiction, and be aligned with the values of the jurisdiction, and be of age of majority, and so on. After that, their professional reputation is reputation of the judge. So if they work poorly, we will minus their professional reputation. But how we will know that they work poorly? We need the whole institute of like review of the judge's work. And for that, I think of right now it's not implemented on the platform because like MVP, but we will have all the validator thing, which you saw on Elena's slides. All the validator thing is validators are citizens, like regular citizens with good reputation, higher than average, and they will see through random cases, like maybe once in some time, maybe day or week, and so on. Nobody will know what cases, and because of that, every judge will like think I need to do my work best I can. And the scheme of work for validators will be like we need to think of one particular, maybe simple thing. Is the judge's decision according to the rule? Only one question. According to the rule or not? If yes, and I understand why he decided so, or she, then I will like check. If no, I don't check. And if majority of the validators, like 15 of them, will check, then judge worked okay. If majority didn't check, then no, and case is reopened, and judge is voted down. And if judge is voted down many times, he will no longer judge cases. And the important thing is validators are regular citizens. They are not judges. They're like they need to know the rules of the jurisdiction, and that's about citizenship in its roots. Like you and me should know laws by which we will live, and be ready to answer one simple question: is the decision according to the rule? And it's not a decision of one person. It's in one of 15 voices, but it's important, and it's regular work to do as a citizen. That's my scheme. So I think this would work in a centralized way.
Thank you for walking through that. It makes me think in the United States, we have jury duty, where citizens have to sometimes get called to go sit on a jury to decide a case in the courts. It's kind of like that. If you're the member of a jurisdiction, you have a duty. Yeah, and you can be an evaluator, crowdsourced evaluation of judges. So I think it's very creative. I'm sorry, did someone else want to make a point? Oh, please, Pion.
But I know about jury that they need to like answer a lot more questions than that one.
That's right.
And that one is simple, really.
That's true.
So what we have
I can-
is, yeah, Elena, sorry. Let's see.
Yeah, just a simple story from the real world. There are mediators in Dutch villages who help local people to resolve disputes, and these people are well respected by the whole community, and they're usually elected once in a year, and they can extend their cadence forever if they do their job. So instead of going to court, people would go to the local mediator who lives in the nearest street, and without paying a lot of money, and try to resolve a dispute about the apple tree, apples falling from the tree of the neighbor. So this kind of practice, we are trying to, well, we're doing a lot of research right now to understand what kind of foundations we need to implement from the real world and what new wants to be born. So how can technology enhance the quality of dispute resolution? And since we were talking about Web 1, 2, and 3, now we're talking about Web 5 as well. And these are projects that connect the real world with Web 3. And that is why Web 2 plus Web 3 means Web 5. So we're kind of this project that works in mixed reality.
Well, and I feel like that dovetails well to Rick's comment. And he was saying, could this platform be used by people who live in marginalized communities to learn about dispute resolution options and opportunities and possibilities within their judicial area? For example, religious minorities such as the Kurds in Iran or the Hindus in Pakistan. I think that's a really interesting, as you say, Elena, connection between the real world and this platform. I don't know if the two of you have thought about applications like that.
Elena,
Yes,
maybe
actually, 2 hours ago, we had a meeting with Belarusian diaspora. I'm Belarusian myself, so I was born in a country where there is no freedom of speech or move, and now it is aggravating. So we met with different project leaders 2 hours ago to think how we can create sovereign identity and a card that will be used by Belarusians who live abroad instead of their passport. And the card will give them more rights and recognition in other countries and help them resolve disputes, because right now they can't address to the courts of their own country because they had to leave the country being in opposition to the current regime. So this is a country level example how online litigations, identities, and reputation can help real people living outside of their country, but being at the same time united as a nation in the cloud. And the same happens now in Ukraine for different reasons. So there are millions, like more than 7 million people living abroad, but they're still connected. So there are utilities for the real world too.
Yeah, I wish our member Jeff Aresti was here from the Internet Bar Organization, because I know he's worked on similar subjects to this. But I think I was mentioning before the call, many citizens around the world, they are not friendly with their government. They are in cooperation or maybe oppressed by their government. So this is an interesting way for a large diaspora spread around the world to create alternative mechanisms to deliver fair resolutions to people, especially if the judicial system within their home country is perceived as corrupt or biased against them. So maybe that's exactly what Rick is talking about. These minority groups, they can't get a fair deal. They could rely on the justice system in the cloud in order to find another kind of resolution. So I love that. I also want to surface Ken's question. What happens if you have a jurisdiction that is essentially like a cult and the judges adhere to the rules of the cult, but the rules do not correspond to the generally accepted morality of the world? And I will say, I did a study of what they call shurgas in Afghanistan. And these are like local councils that make decisions. They're not judicial decisions, but they resolve cases. And sometimes they make terrible decisions that are very oppressive to women or oppressive to minorities or very harmful. But so Ken's kind of asking the same question. If you have a small group that has these kind of warped moral approaches, what stops them from creating a jurisdiction that enshrines those warped approaches? So I don't know if you have a thought.
Maybe, Colin, maybe they're not a small group. Maybe they're the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah, could be. That's exactly right. Yeah.
In general, nothing can stop them. And you see in real world, then nothing stopped them.
Right.
It already occurred in real world.
Yeah.
Nothing stopped them. And what we can do in future, we can create the environment for some maybe many forms of such government forms to create concurrent environment, to create a free market of jurisdictions, to create free market of forms of governance, because all ugly things you are talking about, they are already happened.
That's right.
And we didn't stop them. And by creating the moderation in one particular YourJustice platform, we cannot solve the thing. We can solve the thing by letting them in, and after that, showing that they are not successful if we can put them in put them and put some different form of governance, maybe nicer or abundant governance, and show that they are dominant.
Well, and I want to go to
Or
Elena,
maybe not.
but yeah, I'll say one of the things that's different about online is if you're in a jurisdiction and they start to put rules in place that you do not agree with, you can leave the jurisdiction. You just click exit and you're out. Whereas in the real world, if your government starts doing that, you cannot leave. You are physically, they may prevent you from leaving. So Lena, please, what did you want to say?
Yeah, just to add that we see the turning point in history when countries begin to compete for citizens with the global migration, and take the nomad movement alone. So there are millions of people traveling around the world and staying in different countries for months or for years. And nomad-friendly countries, there are more than 30 already, have implemented special nomad visas because they want to get the talents and their income and to grow their GDP, thanks to the well-educated people arriving in their territory and beginning to pay taxes and consuming all the goods. So we believe this is a massive trend, and we can help nation states build new laws and new structures and experiment with them in the cloud in order to land best practice in the real world.
Well, and I will just say also, Andre, I read a little bit about Andre and that he is a nomad. You know, he's traveling the world. You mentioned before Patry Friedman, who is the way that I met you all, who is a friend of mine. He's the grandson of Milton Friedman, and he's very interested in this idea of creating stateless people who can go from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. He's investing in seasteading environments. He's investing in new countries off the coast of Honduras that have their own rules and laws. I've also presented to a website called Plumia that's trying to start a new country that exists only in the internet. And so and a good friend of ours in the ODR field, Alessandro, he runs a company called Jur, JUR.io. And he is also talking about, he started out doing dispute resolution, and now he's talking about building a new digital nation state. So I think to many of us, maybe on the older generation side, this sounds like science fiction, you know, like this is maybe you'd write a book about something like this, but it would never actually happen. but I think that this is getting closer and closer to becoming real. And I think the work that the two of you are doing and what Your Justice is doing is you are building the justice system of tomorrow. And who knows how long it's going to take. Maybe it'll take 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or 50 years to realize this vision. But I want to applaud you for taking the initiative and having this bold vision. And I think this is really exciting, and it's opened my eyes in many different ways. So we want to welcome you into our community as well of dispute resolvers. And I very much appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts with us today and your MVP.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And
Thank you for your attention.
Part of the community.
Well, I hope you're able to secure your financing. So I see you have some very Andreessen Horowitz and some other people in your platform. So hopefully that means you're presenting to some of these deep-pocketed people.
We can create people on the platform who are not on the platform. We can, like.
I understand, but one of them will get the vision. Maybe I know that Patrick Friedman has many powerful friends. I know he is good buddies with Peter Thiel, who has a couple $2 billion. So, and he wants to live forever, just like your transhumanist group. So maybe he will join and get the vision. But any other comments from our attendees? Suman, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Bob, I see you there. Thank you. Wonderful to have you here. Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Well, I would just say that, I've been an electronic resident of Estonia for the last 4 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So there is an intersection with reality, and it does work, at least within that context of being able to do business, open bank accounts, things like that as an electronic resident. So
it's a good point.
Definitely.
And it's interesting that Lena is talking about that in Belarus, and obviously Pion is in Moscow, and you talked about Estonia. I think the notion of the nation state, there's more of a willingness to experiment with it, perhaps, in the former Soviet republics, because it's a fluid concept. So that seems to me the cradle of innovation around this idea of digital nomad state. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the first digital nation state emerges. So then we can all become citizens. But it's a good point. Okay. Other comments before we close? All right, well, thank you. Pion and Lena, thank you for stepping in and filling Andre's shoes. You did it wonderfully. And we will share this recording with our community. And hopefully someone will call you up and say, I'd like to give you a check for $100 million.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And I invite you all
so
to
much.
join YourJustice.life and create your jurisdiction.
Absolutely. We will experiment with it, definitely.
Or join us.
All right,
Or
keep up the good work.
Research.
Yes, enjoy your blockchain conference, Lena. Be well, stay healthy, everyone,
Thank
and
you.
we will talk again next month.